everyone, and how is it going? Okay, well, I'm really glad to be with you again for today to our another discussion of business related topics. This is from none other than Communicating in Business book. Alright, so are you excited as me to open our new activity? Great. Let's first have our previous video activity. We did topic number 8, the middle of the presentation. We talked about the holding the audience's attention. I gave you techniques and you gave yours. Now let's open another, okay, or the continuation of this. For today, we'll start with the text. It's still under the topic, the middle of the presentation. Alright, so follow me as I read the text, and you have to identify at least 6 recommendations about speaking technique which can help to make the message in a presentation clear. Alright, so are you ready? Well then, let's start it. You're lost if you lose your audience. Okay, the first one. Any presentation requires a clear strategy or plan to help you reach your objectives. The aim is not to spend 20 minutes talking nonstop and showing a lot of nice pictures. It is to convey a message that is worth hearing to an audience who wants to hear it. However, how many speakers really hold an audience's attention? What is the secret for those who do? First, find out about the audience and what they need to know. Plan what you're going to say and say it clearly and concisely. Okay, so were you able to understand it? Okay, what do you think of it? Alright, of course it must be clear. Your message should be clearly stated. Alright, and tell them what you are going to speak or say. Next, a good speaker uses various signals to help hold the audience's attention and make the information clear. One type of signal is to introduce a list with a phrase like, "There are 3 things we have to consider." The speaker then says what the 3 things are and talks about each one and the required level of detail. For example, there are 3 types of price that we have to think about: economic price, market price, and psychological price. Let's look at each of these in more detail. First, economic price. This is based on production costs and the need to make a profit, and the speaker goes on to describe this type of price. After that, he goes on to talk about the market price and so on. Okay, so it's very clear, the message is very clear. Let's move on. Another signaling technique is to give a link between parts of the presentation. Say where one part of the talk ends and another starts. For example, a well-organized presentation usually contains different parts, and progression from one part to the next must be clear with phrases like, "That's all I want to say about the development of the product." Now let's turn on the actual marketing plan. This technique is very helpful to the audience, including those who are mainly interested in one part only. Okay, so that is the technique. Can you give your comment to this? What do you think? Okay, next. Another type of signaling is sequencing of information. This usually follows a logical order, perhaps based on time. So a project may be described in terms of the background, the present situation, and the future. Keywords in sequencing information are first, then next, after that, later, at the end, finally, and etc. So remember those? The sequencing, you have to put your sentences or messages in order. You may use first, then next, after that, later on, or then, at the end, and finally. Next. Still, another technique which helps to emphasize key points is careful repetition, or you have to say it again or again and again. Examples are, as I've already said, there is no alternative but to increase production by 100%, or I'd like to emphasize the main benefit of the new design. It achieves twice as much power with half as much fuel. So the repetition, make sure it's not going to be boring or it doesn't sound boring. And then a final point concerns timing and quantity of information. Psychologists have suggested that concentration is reduced after about 20 minutes without a break or a change in activity. Furthermore, audiences should not be overburdened with technical details or given too many facts to remember. It is claimed that to ask people to remember more than 3 things in a 5-minute talk is too much. Some say that 7 is the maximum number of any length of presentation. Any such calculations are probably not very reliable, but every speaker needs to think about exactly how much information of a particular type a specific audience is likely to absorb and to plan accordingly. Alright, so that's the end of the text. Now, I want you to give me at least the summary of what you have learned from the text, what you have understand. Okay. Yeah, so tell me about what you've understood, what you've learned from it, and then give me your comments. Alright, so thank you for giving those comments and opinions for today. I think that will be enough, and I want you to always keep these learnings in mind. Alright, and we'll have more of the topic and activities on our next video. This has been Teacher Lynn. I'll see you again.